Chapter 2, Necromancy and Life Magic. "How are you doing?" an adult Rachael asked. "Same," an adult Thyme replied with a sad, depressed tone. "Do you want to talk about it?" The two were sitting at a coffee house. Rachael looked radiant, lovely, clean, and healthy. Thyme looked dark, dirty, unkempt hair, and in bad health. "What could I possibly tell you? I mean, the more you know about my kind, the more dangerous it would be for you." "Let me worry about that. Thyme, you can tell me." "About Simon Orn? I suppose I could. I couldn't tell you everything. I can't tell you where he is or any of my kind. Rachael is well..." His words trailed off as he shook the idea from his mind on what the warlocks do to those that share their secrets. "I understand, but you look awful. You need help. I'm here to help you, okay?" "Are you? Are you sure you aren't just trying to charge your magic? Tell me, if your power is powered by good, how then can you intentionally empower yourselves when the good deed is done solely for greed?" "I'm fine with not charging my magic to aid you. Just tell me what happened next with Orn. You need someone you can at least talk to." He sighed. "All right." He sipped his coffee. Thyme was led by the hideous creature into a room. In the back of this room was an altar to the god of necromancy himself, Yogsothoth. Before the altar, painted and carved into the floor, was an ancient elder sign. This elder sign looked comparable to a pentagram, but contained more intricate lines inside. The altar itself was made of wood. It was a short, multi-layered table. Each layer was smaller the higher up it rested. The bottom layer consisted of 8 small boxes, each sealed with a lock. The boxes were green, yellow, black, blue, red, white, silver, and gold. Each box had a different elder sign or sigil inscribed on the outside. The second layer of this altar had glass jars, each containing a singular small stone that dangled from the top of the jar by a string. The stones touched nothing but the string. The third and top wooden layer was the altar itself. A marble statue rested here. The statue was a swirling mass of bubbles that were all spherical, but all different sizes. Some bubbles on the outer edges were half-formed, while the ones closer to the center were fully formed. A shelf was next to the altar against the wall. It contained various knives, curving in different ways. Some were serrated, while others were barbed. A table with straps and buckles stood before the altar. There was no doubt this was used to hold a victim, while Orn used those torture instruments to dedicate poor souls to Yogsothoth. Along the other wall were 2 shelves. The first was a bookshelf. The other was a shelf holding dozens of vials containing essential salts. They were all labeled with only a number. There was a box next to this shelf containing empty vials. Thyme approached the bookshelf. Behind him, the disgusting thing named Joseph stood at the door. Thyme picked up the closest book. The cover on all the books were blank, save for a number inscribed on the side binding. This particular volume in his hand was number 1. The book revealed itself to be a ledger of sorts. Glancing at the adjacent shelf, Thyme pieced together their symbiotic relationship. The numbers on the vials, the details, were in these books. Each number, when looked up, showed their name, birth, and death dates, and a brief description of the person in under 3 sentences. Orn walked into the room. "Yes, take in this scene. You and I will spend a lot of time here. We start now. Take your essential salts and call up the dead man. But before you do that, I will only tell you this once. Do not call up that which you cannot put back down. Ask the lesser, lest the greater can call up forces greater than yourself. Do not call up that which I cannot put back down? How do I put it back down? Have your words of laying with you at all times. A gun will help too. What are the words of laying? Orm walked over to the shelf with the salts. He picked up number 7. The contents were emptied on the table. Mind you, boy, I am not doing this to show you. I will never waste magic just to teach you how magic is done. I have a great deal of work to do, and you will assist me and learn by proxy. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Orn turned back to the table with the poured salts. Joseph cannot use his hands. Hand me the blue box on the altar. His invocation and hand gestures were peculiar. Yogsothoth, Kassign, Yogsothoth. Thyme reached for the blue box with the sigil of Yogsothoth inscribed on it. He felt his body move forward as if his consciousness could not approach the altar itself. It was a strange, disorienting feeling, as if his limbs operated on their own without mental commands. After grabbing the box and stepping back, he felt himself back in his body once more. Orn snatched the box. Never open these, boy. I have placed curses upon them. Only my hand may unlatch them. For almost 20 minutes, Orn chanted the name of Yogsothoth along with those other strange words. Thyme stood silently the whole time. On occasion, Orn commanded him to retrieve this item or that. The dust glowed and moved, forming into the shape of a man. Orn commanded Thyme to hand him one of the blades on the rack just before the completion of this summoning. The body fully formed in place, Orn wasted no time in strapping their limbs, making Thyme assist in this matter. It was a man, aged, balding, and in pain. You are going to tell me what I wish to know, Orn said to the newly raised man. At first, the man was resistant. Thyme witnessed Orn torture this man with not only various cutting tools, but also threats to whomever this man's loved ones were. Eventually, the dead man gave in to Orn's vile demands. A series of questions were asked. Questions like, where is it? Thyme could only guess as to what it was. The man did not play dumb or act oblivious. Somehow he actually understood his situation, as if both Orn and him have done this on more than one occasion. By the time they were finished, there was very little left of the man. Pieces of him were cut off inch by horrid inch, toes, then feet, in 3 sections, ankles, and so on, until his vital organs and head remained. His skin in its entirety lay strewn about the room, discarded casually and callously. Orn snapped his fingers. Joseph the ghoul began gathering the flesh and cleaning the room. Thyme, help him. His hands are useless, and this room cannot be thoroughly cleaned by him alone. Orn performed a second ritual to turn this man back into his essential salts. The second ritual was easier than the one Thyme had done. It looked prepared in advance. The process itself baffled Thyme. It did not clean the mess. It merely reduced what remained on the table back to its previous form of fine blue-gray dust. The dust was rebottled with ease and put back in its place on the shelf. He looked at the boy's face. When you are done here, you will assist me in organizing a catalog in the adjacent room. Meet me there. Do not dawdle. Orn left. Thyme continued cleaning. The stench alone was unbearable. Joseph handed him a mop. Thank you, Joseph? Say, what's your story? Joseph, of course, did not respond, nor did he give any indication that he even understood. Thyme shrugged, continuing. He walked into the catalog room Orn mentioned. It was filled with dozens of shelves just like the previous one. These shelves, however, contained hundreds of essential salts each. Why would you even bother to talk to a ghoul? Thyme was not too surprised that Orn heard him, even though they had been too far out of earshot. Why would you even bother to name a ghoul? Orn actually smiled. Not a sadistic or evil smile, but a legit, pleasing one. He was my friend, you know. His name is Joseph Kerwin. The ghoul darted his eyes at Orn in a moment of what must be awareness upon hearing his full name. The moment was brief. Soon enough, the thing reverted back to the blank mental state it generally occupied. He did not heed my words. I warned him on more than one occasion, the very same warning I gave you. Ironically, it was not that which he summoned which killed him. He was killed by ordinary humans. Not once, but twice. I assisted him in securing a return after he died. He was noticed, you see. It took over 150 years for my friend to come back to life. The methods I use to remain unnoticed are to leave every 30 years. He insisted he could not do that. It was his undoing. His home was not quite so secure as well. A normal man stumbled into his private place, comparable to my private place we occupy now. They actually found the words of Lang that were tied to him. What a fool Joseph was. He gave him a second chance at life, and he fouled up so badly that a normal man, of all things, undid him. So he will spend the rest of eternity in that form you see now. He has no mouth, so he cannot conjure words. His hands barely function, and his mind is decayed. He has just enough cognition to follow my orders, and no more. So, is that my fate? If I disappoint you, you'll turn me into something like that? Orn sighed. You wouldn't be worth the effort, unless you did something like tell them our secrets. Them could only be the spellcasters of good magic, Thyme knew. Even if you turned out to be terrible at magic or even get yourself killed like he did, we wouldn't bother. Thyme changed the subject. What do you need me to do here? Check the organization of my catalog. Go through all of it. Ensure everything is in its proper place. Scanning the room visually depressed Thyme. The task will take hours, if not days. The boy scanned the shelves, ensuring every book had been catalogued, dusted, and remained unscathed. He then turned his attention to the shelves of vials, each one fully examined to ensure the number was facing out for easy reference. Next, in numerical order, he took each vial of essential salts and compared it to the book entry to ensure accuracy. All the while, Joseph the ghoul stood in the doorway, silently staring at the wall, thoughtless, mildly swaying from side to side. The swaying was a natural movement of his body settling. This creature still unnerved Thyme. He lost focus on more than one occasion from his presence just a few feet from himself. Finally, Thyme turned to him. Joseph, do you have any way to talk to me? The thing's face gave no expression. Where a mouth should be did not even twitch. I know you can't talk, Thyme corrected himself. What I mean is, can you communicate at all? Joseph the ghoul held up his stumpy arms. The thing could not write or perform sign language. Thyme frowned. He pondered for a moment. What if I got you some hands? The ghoul looked directly at Thyme. Momentary cognition gleamed in his ocular receptors. It tilted its head as if asking, how? Thyme grabbed his chin, thinking. Well, what I mean is, we could just summon up one of those guys and then take their hands off and put them on you. He tried to formulate his next words with a forbidding feeling attached as he said them. Even his previous statement had an air of bad ideas surrounding it. The boredom of this long-enduring task was easily tolerable. It was the silence from Joseph that he found so unnerving. If he could just tell me something, anything, I wouldn't be so creeped out by him. Joseph has already returned to his inattentive state. Thyme shook his head, dismissing this notion. He took one last look at the ghoul, saying, "No, I shouldn't," prior returning to the task at hand. He spent the rest of the day committed to the completion of this organization and dusting these rooms in this hidden place underneath the mansion. He retired to bed in the room he was assigned. Upon awakening, he was greeted by Joseph standing over his bed waiting. Seeing the sleepless creature just waiting for him, he looked at where a hand should be. Thyme did not shudder from this, but frowned. "I really do feel sorry for you, friend. Can I call you friend? I don't have any. I don't know if it feels silly, I suppose, but me and you are going to spend a lot of time together. Maybe I should." The idea of giving this creature hands entered his imagination once more. He shook his head again. "No, they made you this way for a reason. I shouldn't." Whether the creature was responding to his words or the fact that he was now awake, Thyme could not tell. It turned around and walked out of the room. He assumed the thing meant for him to follow. He got up and dressed, then went to meet Orn. Joseph led him to the dining room where seated Simon Orn wiped his mouth with a napkin, then placed it on top of a now empty plate. "Eat your breakfast, then meet me downstairs. I have a long list of chores that require attention, and I have no time to deal with them." Orn walked away. He snapped his fingers for Joseph to follow him. The creature left Thyme. Thyme watched them leave, and he swore it looked back briefly with a semblance of desperation in his eyes. Did I just imagine that? He shrugged, dismissing the notion. He sat down and looked at the food before him, eggs, bacon, and toast. Thyme heaved a sigh of relief. "Well, the food is good at least." A forkful entered his mouth. Thyme raked leaves in the backyard. The fence was too high for neighbors to watch. Joseph had the bag wrapped around his stumps, held open for Thyme to put the leaves in. "You know, Joseph, when he said he has chores for me to do, I honestly thought they were going to be magic-related." The ghoul made no expression. "I mean, I'm here to learn magic. I just assumed magic is what I would be doing." He placed a handful of leaves into the bag Joseph held. "Ah, yes, you're right, Joe. Maybe I should just remain humble and patient and accept these mundane chores." He leaned down to scoop up more leaves. "What do you recommend?" The thing said nothing and gave no expression of any kind. "You might be right. Perhaps I should take the initiative and practice a little magic to mastery necromancy." He stood up straight, stretching his back. "Bah! Mr. Orn has me so busy with these chores that I lack the needed time to do anything to advance my studies. The books help a lot." He began pacing back and forth. Joseph continued standing there, holding the bag. "Those books take up every scrap of free time I have. Then again, Orn didn't tell me that I have to only read those books and only do these chores. He also didn't tell me that I couldn't practice in between the two." Thyme snapped his fingers, reaching a conclusion. "Joe, let's get you some hands. Yes, we'll do it in the name of research. Besides, in the worst-case scenario, we use words to undo you or use a bit of magic to reverse what we do. Should be a piece of cake." Thyme took the bag from Joseph, dropping it on the ground. They left the unfinished work and headed to the secret lair of Simon Orne. Thyme heard Simon chanting the name of Yogsothoth over and over as he descended the stairs. His voice echoed. Thyme moved slowly and cautiously to remain unheard. He motioned for Joseph to follow. The two snuck past the room. Simon was chanting in. His back was to the door. A quick glance at the elder necromancer showed him in robes covered in, Thyme assumed, magical sigils that in turn glowed independently from sigil to sigil, one at a time. Stars, elder signs, and even ones Thyme did not recognize were illuminated periodically. Thyme and Joseph moved into the room containing the books full of information matching the bottle numbers. We want to use one that doesn't matter. Thyme whispered as much to himself as he did to Joseph. I don't know anything about these. He picked up a random book, opening it to a random page, and glided his fingers down the page, looking at the names and brief descriptions. One of these people has to be so unimportant that Orne won't notice if we fiddle with them. Continuing this logic, he explored 3 different books. At page 72 of the 3rd book, his fingers stopped at one person, number 6784, John Smith. Thyme chuckled a bit. His name was probably forgotten, probably a fake name. He was a bartender and raised horses. Nothing else. This one should do. He put the book back in its proper place, then walked into the adjacent room containing the vial of essential salts. It did not take him long to find 6784. He turned to Joseph. Let's get back to work. We'll try this when Orne is asleep. He left the vial on the shelf. 11:05 p.m. Thyme sat in his room, reading the books assigned to him. He paid special attention to the summoning ritual and the alteration ritual of the dead. He was alone. Committing these spells to memory was no easy task. He read them over and over until fully satisfied that he would not need to consult these books. Just in case, he took them with him. When he quietly stepped out of his room, Joseph was waiting for him. Thyme nodded without a word, and the two returned to the hidden laboratory downstairs. He set up the 2 books on a nearby table in the ritual room, ensuring they were on the proper pages. Taking the necessary time to set up everything required about an hour. He poured the essential salts onto the table with the straps and restraints. Can't be too careful, he said to himself as much as Joseph. He examined everything in detail to ensure nothing was forgotten or missed. My first summoning. This is exciting. Joseph, no one is here to assist me but you. He looked at the table, picked up a revolver, checked the ammunition, then put it back. The other ingredients for summoning were present as well. Then he checked everything for the second time. Another table held cutting tools for removing the hands, surgical instruments, needle and thread to sew them onto Joseph's stumps. His fingers went over the first spell one last time, then the second spell one last time. Thyme nodded his satisfaction. Yogsothoth, he began the spell. Yogsothoth, Brugren, Yogsothoth. The glow of magic excited Thyme. He felt the last of his magic exiting his body, an important detail he has forgotten to take into consideration. He repeated the chant, Yogsothoth, Brugren, Yogsothoth. The dust moved on its own, spreading out over the table. Some of it rose, blending together with itself, forming shapes. They lost their blue hue, turning grayish-white, converting into bones. Soon a full skeleton was formed. Muscles and nerves sprouted out. Organs grew, shriveled at first, as life or unlife spewed from them. Thyme was not careless. He brought the straps over the man on the table, securing their body. His eyes lit up with excitement. Even if he failed this spell, he has succeeded to some degree. Everything from this point forward is success. As muscles formed on his neck, vocal cords slithered out, the body moved on its own, and as the talking mechanism in his throat came to life, so too did his voice. The man screamed in agony from returning to life. His nerves and muscles were exposed. Soon the automatic movement and reformation of body tissue ceased. The man pulled at his restraints. His screaming never ceased. Skin never formed, nor did his eyes, a tongue, or anything beyond the basic essentials for life. Though exposed, teeth and an open mouth, this man never stopped screaming. Thyme winced at his howls. They were loud, too loud, and he knew it. "We have to hurry!" He looked to the second spell, the one intended to fuse the man's hands onto Joseph's stumps. He cringed at the details, but already mentally prepared himself for the surgical work. Even though the dead man before him was restrained, his arms struggled to break free. He did not hold still. Thyme picked up the bone saw. He tried to hold it against the man's wrist, but his struggling made that impossible. He dropped the saw with shaking hands. Thyme bent down to pick it up and dropped it twice more in the process. He stood up and tried again. The screaming hindered his concentration. The second spell left his memory, not magically, just naturally through the distraction. He once again placed the saw on the wrist. His shaking hand wouldn't let him do it. He finally accepted his own squeamish inability to follow through with this. He looked at the words of laying just next to the book. "Yogsothoth, Kurdash, Yogsothoth," Thyme said. No magic remained in him to cast this spell. His reserves were depleted. His eyes widened with understanding and agitation at the predicament. "Stupid, stupid, stupid! God damn it, I'm an idiot!" He turned to Joseph the ghoul. "I'm sorry, I can't do this." He looked at the table to his one remaining option. This thing on the table, this unfinished summoned failure of his, must be killed. He picked up the pistol, cocked the hammer, and his hand shook as he failed to aim properly. Not even 2 feet from his target, and his first shot missed. He pressed the barrel of the gun to the head of the suffering abomination before him. With another pull of his finger, and the second deafening bang made the creature cease its screaming. Bloodless body parts, brain tissue, and bones scattered in the room. Thyme's hand shook as he dropped the gun from killing this once again dead corpse. He fell to his knees, weeping into his hands. "Clean this up," Simon Orn said from the doorway. "Return him to Salts." Orn wore no expression on his face. Thyme glanced at him fearfully. He could not tell if Orn was angry, disappointed, or indifferent. Orn walked away. "Joseph, come with me. He's doing this alone." Joseph walked away as well. "Is this my punishment for trying this without his permission? Is he going to turn me into a ghoul like Joseph?" Thyme eventually stood up and cleaned up the mess. He had hours of work ahead of him, not just in cleaning the bits and pieces of human tissue, but the longer process of converting this man's back into dust, non-magically. A sleepless night was in store for him. Even with the little time remaining, he did not sleep after everything was done. The memory of the man screaming haunted him. He tossed in bed, unable to sleep. Morning arrived. He got up. His bloodshot eyes and now pale skin shuffled to get dressed. His feet slid on the floor with exhaustion. He exited his room. Joseph was not there. He went downstairs to the main floor and into the dining room. There Orn sat, still consuming his own breakfast. No food waited for Thyme. Before he could apologize for last night, Orn spoke first. "Pack your things. I'm not your teacher anymore. I don't need someone in my home that cannot follow my instructions." "But I—" Thyme was interrupted. I told you to do what I say when I say it, and no more. Going behind my back to do magic on your own like this, raising the dead without my permission, instruction, or even knowledge? Boy, you are too reckless. Get out of my home. Find your own way to wherever it is you hail from. We're done here. Rachel's mouth was gaped open. I'm glad you're still alive. Thyme shrugged. What about you? What about me? The first magic you learned. It's your turn to tell me about it. Oh. Rachael was genuinely surprised. Well, all right. Jedediah Smith is eccentric. A teenage Rachael stepped out of the car. She waved at the squat man, who waved back, then drove away. Before her was a farm. The large fenced area had ponies being cared for by several people. A man in a straw hat saw her, smiled, then waved. She returned the same gesture. You must be Mr. Smith, Rachael said as she approached. I love ponies. Call me Jedediah, or Jed. Informality causes joy. So, what do we do first? An excited Rachael asked. Oh, well, I reckon you can get settled in. Here, I'll take your bags. Jed reached for her belongings to pick them up. The two walked to the modest farmhouse. The air was pleasant, and Rachael briefly pondered if the air had been enhanced magically or naturally. She expected a rank smell since this was a farm. She wanted to get started on learning life magic, but Jedediah insisted he was too busy, but will make time tomorrow. Please, don't wander around too much. It's a farm, and I wouldn't want you to stumble over something, he said prior to leaving. It's a well-kept farm. What could I possibly trip over? She thought it over. Well, I'm a good girl, or I'll just do as I'm told. She spent the remainder of the day in the house. Gazing out the window, she stared at the ponies, wanting to pet them. Jedediah was not with them. He was nowhere to be seen. The next day, she awoken to the pleasant smell of bacon frying. She walked downstairs, still wearing her nightgown. She saw a woman cooking in the kitchen. Oh, you must be Mrs. Smith, Rachael said with her usual pleasant tone. The hefty woman turned around, smiling at Rachael. Good morning, Rachael. It is very nice to meet you. That smells like bacon, Rachael said. Yes, it is, my dear. Only the best for our guests. Help yourself to anything you like in the kitchen. So this is real bacon? Like from a pig? Mrs. Smith chuckled. Oh, yes, my dear. None of that synthetic or vegetable substitute stuff for you city folk are used here. But that means... Rachael took a step back. Jedediah walked in the room. Yes, it's okay, Rachael. This is a farm and we are people. People still have to eat. Here, after you eat, get dressed and meet me outside. You can help me with the farm today. He left. Have a seat, dear. I'm guessing meat is not for you. I'm sorry, I'm a vegetarian or vegan. I don't know. I just don't want to hurt anything. Admiral, dear, but trust me, it won't affect your magic by eating meat. You know I can do magic. I'm Jedediah's wife. He couldn't hide something like that from me. Besides, she didn't finish the sentence, but pointed at the fridge. Magic exited her hand, beaming to the appliance. Her spell caused the fridge door to open, and the pitcher of orange juice to float out and gently land on the table in front of Rachael. I know I shouldn't waste magic like that, but sometimes I just like to show off. The older woman actually giggled. Rachael smiled at this. Oh, good. I don't have to hide it here. I was so worried. Rachael made her breakfast consist of fruits and bread. She thanked Mrs. Smith, then did as Jedediah bade, meeting him outside. The two spent hours performing various farm tasks, from cleaning a pigsty to feeding the horses. They didn't talk much about magic. When dusk came, Rachael finally asked him, You said today we were going to learn life magic. Jedediah smiled. And you are. He paused, letting her think about it. When she opened her mouth to speak, he continued, "Magic is not easy. It is work, hard work. Close your eyes and concentrate on the magic inside of you." She closed her eyes. "Do you feel how it has increased?" "Yes, there's more there, but how?" "The work you did today. Cleaning fuels our magic, as does feeding a hungry life form. That's all we did today, and it empowered us." Jed examined her worried expression. "What's wrong?" This morning, or maybe it was yesterday, but this morning your wife cooked meat. How can our magic charge if we kill?" Rachel felt him almost smile, but he didn't. "Ah, we can kill, Rachel. It does not affect our magic in any way, shape, or form. You see, our magic is charged when we do good. It is not depleted when we do what you consider evil. Killing an animal for sustenance is not evil anyways." "But—" Rachel wanted to protest, but didn't know how. "Trust me, I understand your objection. It's fine. People have had animal farms longer than recorded history. We're not evil for eating, Rachel. And nobody is judging you for being vegetarian. In fact, I'll bet my wife is making a special meal just for you." "Please don't go out of your way just for me." Jed waved dismissively. "Trust me, it's our pleasure. Besides, doing that for you will actually charge her magic. Anyways, think nothing of it, all right? Today you have learned some great ways to charge your magic. Tomorrow I will teach you how to use it." Night came, and as Rachel turned off the light and climbed in bed, she heard someone outside. Looking out the window, she saw Mr. and Mrs. Smith, fully dressed, walking to the barns. "They didn't say I had to stay in my room." Rachel put her shoes on and followed them, still wearing her nightgown. The two Smiths entered the barn. Rachel silently followed them just out of earshot. When she looked in, she saw and heard the cellar door close in the middle of the floor. She placed her ear next to the door, listening to the footfalls descend. When she was certain they were far enough away, she slightly opened the door and peeked inside. Their distant lamplight was seen barely illuminating the stairs for her. She quietly followed. Hiding behind a corner and sticking just enough of her head to allow one eye to see, she saw 3 people. The Smiths and 1 man chained to the wall. Rachel covered her mouth so she did not scream. Her gasping was almost heard, but if it was, nobody gave any indication. "Are you ready to tell us yet?" Jedediah said. "Fuck you," replied their prisoner. "That's not very polite," said Mrs. Smith. Then she kicked him in the chest. He let out an oof sound and spit out some blood. He aimed for one of them, but it missed. "We can hold you forever, you know." "Pull out one of his teeth." At this, Rachel noticed a small table near them containing tools which Jedediah was reaching for pliers. Rachel's eyes widened with horror as she grasped them. A smile was on his face. He inched closer to the man, teasing him, sliding the pliers across his face, up and down. "We don't have to do this, though you know we really want to. We can do this every single night, and you know it." "Fuck you! I'll never talk." Jedediah sighed, but it was sarcastic. His wife held the man's face, still as Jed braced a tooth in the pliers. He didn't say anything. He yanked. A stream of blood followed, now extracted tooth, and their prisoner yelled in agony. "Yesterday, we simply removed your teeth. We did it fast and didn't take full advantage of it. Today, we're gonna take our time with each and every tooth." Jed released the tooth from the pliers into a bowl already containing dozens of teeth. A clunk sound echoed as it bounced in the bowl. Metal clinked from the bowl, followed by a series of muffled clinks from bouncing on other teeth. The pliers were set on the table. Then he picked up a long needle. He moved it close to the man's face, who was still crying. Tears streamed down his face. "This is gonna hurt. A lot more than pulling your tooth out." He dragged the needle down his face, not breaking the skin, but leaving a mark in the process. 2 seconds to tell us." "You're being generous with that, honey." She turned to their victim. "You see that? We're very merciful. You can tell us right now, and this will end immediately." Through tears and pain, the man gritted out another, "Fuck you!" "All. 1. Fuck it." Jedediah jammed the needle into the open wound where blood still gushed out and the tooth should be. The man's screams doubled in pain. "Now we're gonna do this with every tooth in your..." Jedediah didn't finish the sentence. Rachael screamed. She was fearful, but overcame that fear, stepped out from behind the corner, and rushed to the Smiths to stop the horrendous torment of this man. Mrs. Smith let go of their prisoner's face and grabbed Rachael by the arm, and before Rachael could process this, she already had her in a full headlock. Rachael could not move. Jedediah sighed. "Rachael, you don't understand." Through her own tears, and even through the man still screaming, Rachael retorted, "You monsters! How can you do something like this and call yourselves good? This is not life, this is evil." "No, Rachael. He," Jedediah pointed to their prisoner, "is evil." "What could he possibly have done to deserve this?" "Done? He's evil. He can only do evil. He's a warlock, and demons gave him magic." "That's it? Just he's one of them, so we should torture all of them? My brother is one of them." "We know." Jedediah was still pointing at the tied-up warlock. "This one, however, knows things that we need to know." "This is wrong!" Rachael screamed. Jedediah placed his fingers on the bridge of his nose, closing his eyes. "Rachael, you're a good person. But sometimes in life, we have to do things like this." He turned to his wife. "We'll do this tomorrow. Let's get Rachael back to the house." Mrs. Smith dragged Rachael away, kicking and screaming. Jed turned back to the warlock. He cast a spell of healing on him, and he was restored. His teeth grew back, and the man passed out. "Can't have you bleed out." Present day. The adult Rachael and Thyme sat at the coffee shop. "So, you witnessed the supposed good guys torture someone, and it was justified solely because he was one of us? Even though, for all you knew, he never used his magic and tried to live a normal life?" Thyme said. "It's not like that. What could I have done?" "Saved him? Got him out of there?" Thyme said. That wasn't an option." "So you just kept on learning magic and let them torture that guy, heal him just to torture him some more. You know, they want to do that to me, right?" A tear welled up in Rachel's eyes. I'm sorry. I'll never let them do anything like that to you." "Oh, gee, thanks. Thank you for not letting me get kidnapped and cut up forever by your friends. What a wonderful and caring sister you are. Such a humanitarian you are." "Shut up!" Rachael outburst. A rarity for her composure to drop like that. Everyone in the coffee shop turned their full attention to Rachael and Thyme. Cups were heard clinking against saucers. She calmed herself quickly. Rachael waved her hands, casting a minor spell to calm them, and herself. "It's fine, Thyme." Her now relaxed tone tried to soothe her brother. Thyme winced at this. He sighed, shrugging away her story, allowing the magical calm to enter him. End of chapter 2.